Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm going to attempt one of the plethora of extreme Sudokus that are in my inbox at the moment. This one is by SudokuExplorer, and SudokuExplorer has been wowing the Sudoku world over the last few months with a series of absolutely exceptionally rated puzzles over on Logic Masters Germany. Now this one is apparently absolutely extraordinary, but also absolutely monstrous. So this could be a long video. You will know that better than me. But yeah, I've allowed myself time. I'm starting this much earlier than usual. Before we kick off, a couple of things to mention. Firstly, over on Patreon at the moment, if you're a patron of the channel, you can watch my attempt at PHISTOMEFEL'S new logic problem, Sisyphus. So do have a look at that. It's a brilliant puzzle, as always, of course, by PHISTOMEFEL. And on the channel, we're going to release a bonus video tomorrow of Mark attempting to break the world record for the fastest solve of a Times cryptic crossword. I'm saying nothing about whether he achieves it, but I will say that for anyone, well, for everyone who watches that video, and I include people like me who can solve the Times crossword pretty quickly, it's like watching a form of magic, believe me. So that will go live on the channel tomorrow morning. Oh yes, finally, an appeal on behalf of a lady called Marge, who posted an intriguing message on our Discord server. I'll show you the picture. This is the picture she's published, and she published this message. I'm hoping somebody here can help me. I recently lost my grandfather and received this Sudoku in his will. I've done some basic Sudokus before, but have no idea how to do this. And so I just sort of Googled and found Crack the Cryptic. So I thought maybe someone here would know what to do. Well, if I'm going to have a go at this if I get the chance later myself, but I'm sure there will be others watching this video who might want to help out. So that's over on our Discord server now. It's from Marge, as I said. Now, what are the rules of Sudoku Explorer's puzzle? Here we go. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a knight's move cannot contain the same digit. So this is our old friend. Let's imagine this square here was a 1. Now, a chess knight in this cell could jump to all of these positions, and therefore none of these yellow cells could contain the digit 1, because if they did, they would be a chess knight's move apart, and that would break the rules of the puzzle, which we mustn't do. Now, what else? We've got digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So what that means is, let's imagine that was 1, 2, 3. You'd add up 1, 2 and 3 together, you would get 6, you would put 6 in the circle. So that's how arrows work, and you can repeat digits along arrows, providing you don't break any of the other rules. So that's all the rules. There don't seem to be a great many arrows here, and we've got these sort of scissors-like ones again, which I've seen before, but I can't remember what they meant. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, let's get cracking. So presumably we have to do the old trick, do we, with... Well, yeah, so what we can see immediately is that the minimum I can put on any of these arrows, because the arrows are all in the same column of the Sudoku, would be a 1, 2, 3 triple. So all of these arrows, circles, must be at least equal to 6. So we can do that. Now what I was expecting then was to find that these somehow saw each other by knight's move, but they don't appear to do that. So maybe we've got... what I'm wondering is whether we can get some sort of minimum or maximum on the arrows, because we've definitely got 5 digits on arrows in box 4 and 5 digits on arrows in box 5. So the minimum I could put on the arrows would be something like that, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. If I did that in both boxes, that would be 15, and 15 is 30. If I put 1 and 2 there, I get 33. So I have to put at least 33. Well, I have to make sure the circles add to at least... yeah, okay, this is interesting. There's only 1 degree of freedom. Because if you have to put 33 at least on the arrows, what's the maximum I can make the arrows add up to? Well, if I put 8, 9, 8, 9, because I can't put 9, 9. Obviously, I can't repeat 9 in the same row of a Sudoku. So the maximum I can make the circles add up to is 34, with 2 lots of 17. So I can increase any of those 1, 2, 3, 4s and 5s by exactly 1, but that's it. So in fact, yeah, if I can only increase one of these, how many cells are there? One of these 12 cells from their minimum by exactly 1. One of these boxes must contain 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Really sure how we tell which one. I put one, I put 1 and 2 into this domino to create my minimum. Now, there must therefore be a 1 in one of these 2 squares, because if I increase this 1, 2 minimum and say there's no 1, so I would have to go 2, 3 as a minimum, that's 5 versus a total of 3, and that's using 2 degrees of freedom, which will break the constraint. So there must be a 1 in one of those 2 squares. That's not typically how I like to do my pencil marking, but I think I'll remember this. Right, now we can use the knight's move, look, to remove a 1 from either of those cells, because obviously if this is a 1, you can't put a 1 in either of those 2 squares because of the knight's move, and that works symmetrically for this square. You can't then put a 1 in either of those squares. So there's no 1 here. Well, apart from me, but you know what I mean. Actually, to be honest, I'm not sure that's a huge restraint, is it? Because... oh, I suppose what I could do is work out what must appear on each of these arrows, because if I can only increase one of the digits by 1. Oh, hang on, there's loads I can do here. I'm just catching up with my brain here. How on earth could there ever be a 6 on these arrows now? There can't be. Because I know that the arrows have to add up to at least 33. So if I try and put a 6 in one of the circles, the other 3 squares would have to add up to 27. So they'd have to be 3 9s. And you can't put 3 9s on these circles because you'll definitely end up repeating a 9 in a row. So 6 can come out of the circles. Sorry, I should have got that straight away. Now, 7. 7 doesn't have to come out, rather annoyingly, because I could have 2 9s, a 7 and an 8, and that would add up to 33. So we can't actually... I don't think I can rule 7 out. So let me go back to my other thought that I was having, which is, can I work out what I need to put on what I definitely need to have in each of these boxes? So if I can only increase from the minimum was 1, 2, 3, whoopsie, I pressed the space bar too many times. The minimum was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can increase one of these digits by 1. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I possibly could switch the 5 to a 6. But what you can't do, for example, is not have a 1. You know, if you increase the 1 to a 2, you now have to increase the 2 to a 3, the 3 to a 4, the 4 to a 5, the 5 to a 6, and that's going to totally break your total because you've not increased the minimum of this, which is 15 to 16. You've increased it by several more. You've increased it to 20. So what does that mean? That means we must have 1, 2, 3 and 4 on these arrows, I think. And I think the same is true of that because it's the same logic. 1 doesn't go in those 2 because of the 1 that we know is up here. In fact, those 2 squares have to be from 1, 2 and 3 because it's either 1 and 2 or it's 1 and 3, but it's not any more than that. Good grief. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff so far. I don't feel I'm any closer to writing a digit into this grid. So maybe I don't. The thing is, how on earth do these arrows play any role? I mean, this circle here, it doesn't seem to have any interaction with these circles, and hardly any interaction with this box even. Even the knight's move doesn't really do very much. We can, whatever goes in that square can't go in those 4 squares, that's all we know. This one is similar, it's hardly, it can't even see this box by knight's move. Oh dear. What, am I missing something simple here? And if so, what is it? I've got to put... I suppose I can't put 7, 8 and 9 on these arrows. So if I put... there you go. You can't put 7 on that arrow. Because if you do put 7 on this arrow, where do you put 8 and 9 in box 4? You've got to put them in this triple here. But that's broken the puzzle. Because the moment you put 8 and 9 in these 3 squares, this square has to be a 7 as well. And now I've got 2 7s and a maximum of 2 9s, and that only adds up to 32. And I know that these arrow cells add up to at least 33. So you can't put 7 in one of the... Yeah, it's the same for that one, of course. You can't put 7 here because 8, 9 puts a 7 there. Right, so we can do a little bit better. I can get rid of 7s from those 2 squares. Which means... Oh. Well, that means 7 in this box and this box have to be in one of those 3 squares. So now there's no 7 in those 2 squares. And now we've got 34. Okay, so we are not heading towards 33. We are heading towards 34. And we... well, the other thing I can see is that these 2 are the same. Because whatever goes in there can't go on an arrow. So whatever goes in there, and of course that gives me the opportunity to colour, and you know me, I will take that opportunity and grasp it with both hands. So now we have actually, no, we haven't got a digit, we're probably not anywhere near getting a digit, but we have got some things going on. Now, what does this mean? I don't know. So now... I mean, that feels like it's an amazing breakthrough. It's not... I suppose green in that box has to be in one of those 2 squares. It can't go here because that would be a knight's move away from its friend. And the same is true, of course, over there. Purple must sit in one of those 2 squares in the corner. Is there some way we can do better than that? They can't go in those squares. Oh, I'm sorry about this. I mean, I'm now feeling a bit silly because so if that's double 9, this would be double 8. What does that mean? What does that even mean? I know that 7 is never on an arrow. I mean, that square can't be a 7. I can see that, because that would rule a 7 out from all 3 of those squares. Oh, I know, I see what's going on. Right, the sensible question to ask is, where does green go in box 4, of course? Because green can't go on an arrow, now by the knight's move it can't go here. So green has to go there. That is nice. That gets me an 8-9 green here, and the same is true by symmetry. Here you can't put purple in those 2 squares, so purple is placed in box 5. So now we'll remove the 7 pencil mark. Now we've got more of a restriction on 8 and 9 in... yeah, here you go. Now where do 8 and 9 go? In fact, yes, I can actually place the colours as well. I was about to say this is an 8-9 pair, but I can do better than that and actually colour them in. Because, let me explain. We can see from Sudoku, 8s and 9s have to be in 2 of these 3 squares. Can we put 8 or 9 here? Now ordinarily we might think it's possible, because we could go 1, 8. But of course if we do 1, 8, we can put 9 here in theory, except it would see the 9 that must be in one of those 2 squares in row 4. So that is all bobbins. But bobbins in a good way. So this is the 8-9 pair in box 6, and this purple sees that square by knight's move. So we get to colour those in. Now green, look. No, green is in one of 4 places. Okay, I thought that might be okay, but I'm not sure it is. No, okay, so we've got to come up with something else. 7 is in... Yeah, okay, we can see now the 7 in row 4 of the grid can't be in any of those 6 cells. So there's a 7 in one of these cells. 7 can't be on the arrow tip, because then this would have to be an 8 or a 9, which it can't be. 7 is in one of 2 places. It would be quite useful if it was there, because that would give us a 7 here, a 7 here, and a 7 here straight away. And I would get digits in the grid. Good lord, okay. Ooh, just spotted something. Green. Green in box 9. Where does it go? Green can't go there because of Sudoku. You can't put green in this domino because it will see both cells of this domino and rule out green. And we know one of these is green. So green is not in those squares. Now this square sees that one by knight's move. So green is actually in one of those 3 squares, which means... it's not brilliant, but it does mean green is in one of those 2 squares, which is better than I was thinking before. Can we do that? Is there some way of repeating that logic? No, look, this purple domino, which might have been as useful as this green domino, this purple domino doesn't see any other box via the knight's move constraint, so that is not useful. Okay, so we can... You can limit purple a bit. Purple can't go here by knight's move, here by knight's move, those squares by Sudoku. So purple is in one of 4 places. I don't believe I've just ruled out purple from those 2 squares by knight's move when there's a purple here. That would have been an easier way to rule it out. Okay, alright, I'm giving up. I can't do anything with purples and greens. So we're going to have to do something with something else. We can... What on earth are we meant to do here? I don't think... Well, no, hang on. We know that arrow cells in each of these boxes is either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 because there's 1 degree of freedom. So those squares must be 5, 6s or 7s. We couldn't, for example, take a 4 out of the arrows and plonk it in here. So if these are, let's say these were 7 and 6, each of these was 7 and 6, that would put a 6 up there. Oh no, that could still be 6 on the arrow. 6, 1, 7 would work. Okay, alright, that's no use. Can we get a count on what... Hang on, let me think about this. I need to have 2 8s and 2 9s. Ooh, that's an interesting thought. Right, hang on. Right, these are the cells that we have at our disposal to make our 34 total. Now, how many 1s can I put in those yellow squares? Well, the answer is 3, because I can put 1 exactly in box 4, 1 exactly in box 5, and 1 in row 3. That's 3 1s. So one of these arrows, one of these arrows that emanate from these circles does not have a 1 on it. And therefore it must be 2, 3, and 4, adding up to 9. So one of these arrows is a 2, 3, 4 arrow. Which one? How on earth do you tell? I do not know. If that was a 2, 3, 4 arrow, that square couldn't be a 2, 3 or a 4. That would restrict this square quite a lot. So it couldn't be 8, 9 or 7 either. So it would have to be 1, 5 or 6, all of which are probably possible. Oh. Right. So I know one of these is 2, 3, 4. I can only include 3 of any digit I want in the ways of getting to 8 and 9. So two of the circles have to be 3 cells adding up to 8. So they either have to be 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. Is there a way, can we prove that they are the same or that they're different? If you had 2 lots of 1, 3, 4, why wouldn't that work? Actually, that wouldn't work. Actually, that wouldn't work for a very good reason. You can't have whichever, it's very hard to explain this, but whichever one of the colours is, let's imagine it's purple, is 8. Let's imagine these two are 8 arrows. So we've got to make those 3 squares and those 3 squares sum to 8. Now, if these were 1, 3, and 4, you would have used, in these yellow cells, you would have used 2 3s and 2 4s. But we know that there's a 9 arrow, which must be either here or here, that is also a 2, 3, 4 arrow. So that means in these cells altogether, you would have used 3 3s and 3 4s. Well, how can you do that? You can't do that. Because remember, you can get 1 3 in there, 1 4 in there, and you can get a maximum of 1 3 in here, but you can't get another 4 up here. That's impossible. You can't put 4 up here. So you can't use the 8 the 8 arrow is not a 1, 3, 4 repeating arrow. So is it 1, 2, 5 repeating? Oh, this is getting complicated now. If it's 1, 2, 5, you could get the 2 5s into boxes 4 and 5. That would be fine. One, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. You would have to. You'd have 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 4. I'm getting confused now. I might even have to pencil this in, I think. This isn't bifurcation, because I could do it in my head, it would just take me longer. That's my excuse. 1, 2, 5 here. Is there any restriction on how this 1, 2, 5 would look? You'd have to put the 5 in one of those squares for sure. Let's just guess at it. 5, 2, 1 here. Now, one of the 9 arrows has to be 2, 3, 4. Ooh, that's difficult. That would have to be this one. And then this one. Ah, I see. Sorry, it's simpler than I was thinking. I just had to think a stage further. So the problem with this is that this 9 arrow has no way of being created, because what are we going to put on it? How do you make 9 in 3 cells? So there are 3 options. 2, 3, 4, that's ruled out. 1, 2, 6, that's ruled out. 1, 3, 5, that's ruled out. So there is no way of creating the 4th or the second 9 arrow or the 4th overall arrow if you repeat 1, 2, 5 on the 8 arrows, which yeah, okay, I can see that now. I can see that now. Because you always end up with having to put 2, 5. You know, you can see this the other way around. If these were the 8 arrows instead, you'd just end up with the 2 5s here instead. And that would give you the problem over here because of the symmetry of the pattern. So, I'm not actually sure this has taken us forward though. So now I've deduced that the makeup of the digits, in fact have I deduced? I've deduced that one of the 9 arrows is a 2, 3, 4 arrow. One of the 8 arrows is a 1, 2, 5 arrow. One of the 8 arrows is a 1, 3, 4 arrow. So do we have a way of working out what the other 9 arrow is? That is the question. Is that a good question? Is it going to help me if I knew the answer to that? Well, I think it... I'm more tempted to ask where the 2, 3, 4, 9 arrow goes, to be honest. If the 2, 3, 4, this one is the one that I think, if that was the 2, 3, 4, 9 arrow, I feel like this square becomes interesting. Let me just think about this for a second. If this is a 2, 3, 4, 9 arrow, we then know that this is an 8 arrow that can't have... so that would be a 1, 5 pair. It would have to be a 1, 5 pair because you can't put 6 on an 8 arrow. So you would go 1, 5, 2 here. So 2, 3, 4. Let's just have a look at this. 2, 3, 4. You'd have to go 1 and 5 here. Don't know what the order is. This would be a 2. That would be a 1. Now, this is our 8 arrow. So this is another 8 arrow. Oh, of course. And using what we've just learned, that's a 1, 3, 4 arrow. So what fills in the other 9 arrow then? if that's 1, 3, 4, if that's 1, 3, 4, you can't put 1, 3, 5 here. You can't put, this has to be 1, 2, 6. You get, oh, good grief, you get repeated 7s in row 5. Whoa, hoo, hoo. That is interesting all of a sudden. So let me explain. I'm not sure, by the way, at all if this is the way to do this. And I fully accept that I'm having to sort of look ahead a little bit here in order to figure this out. But I haven't had any better ideas as to how to do it. So if somebody does have better ideas, please let me know what they are. But this method is going to allow me to know, well, actually, I'm not even sure what it's going to allow me to do. It's going to allow me to rule out 2, 3, 4 from there, and probably from here. Because of the symmetrical logic. I've not used anything outside of this pattern actually to disprove this 2, 3, 4. So it must work symmetrically if I put the 2, 3, 4 in there. That's one way of looking at it. So why does this break? Well, it breaks because if you put 2, 3, 4 on this limb, you have to put 1, 5 here on the 8 arrow. That's the only two options you've got. Now that, of course, means that this 8 arrow has to be the opposite, so it's got to be a 1, 3, 4, 8 arrow. And because this has to be a 1 now, you've only got 2 and 6 to put into these two squares. Now, why is this interesting? Well, it's interesting because of where the 2 has to go. Because the 2, which must be here, cannot go here. So it has to be here, and we get this sort of weird 1, 2, 1, 2 pattern. But the 6 and the 5 are forced into these two squares. And that's going to be the same however you try and do this, I think. I'm going to double check that now, though, just to make sure that I haven't lucked into that. Oh, in fact, you can immediately see that's impossible. That's an impossible way to arrange the 5 and the 1, because we know there's a 1 in one of these two squares, and we know if we have put the 2, 3, 4 here, this can't be the 1, or you'd get repeated 1s on this arrow. Now look, those 1s are a nice move apart, so the only way, in fact, of arranging the 5 and the 1 is to have the 5 at the bottom. That forces this, and because we know there's a 2 on this arrow, that forces the 2 here. We get this pattern. That square's a 6, and now look, those two squares have to be repeated 7s. That breaks the puzzle. Wow. Okay. And that's going to work the same the other way round. So what have we learnt? We have learnt that one of these arrows is a 2, 3, 4. Okay, one of these arrows. That is, no, it's not. Oh, I was about to say that's useful. It's not useful. I was about to say it's useful because it must give us this digit, but it doesn't, of course, because the 2 or the 3 could go up here. Oh, bobbins. If you put green and... no, I can do more. You can't, if this is a 2, 3, 4 arrow, or this is a 2, 3, 4 arrow, and one of them must be a 2, 3, 4 arrow, if this is, let's go for, try and put the 3 at the top. That breaks the puzzle, because you get a 2 and a 4 below it in this box. But because green, in this iteration, is 9, purple must be 8. How could you ever fill that 8 arrow? You could never do it, because the 2 and the 4 have gone. So 1, 2, 5 and 1, 3, 4 are not available. So this is not 3, 2, 4 like this. And the same must be true this way round, because obviously if you go 3, you go 3, 2, 4 here, this becomes the 8 arrow. You can't fill it in. So that means that actually now we know there is no 3 in this domino. This is a 1, 2 pair. Still haven't got digits. I can remove 2 now from those two squares. That doesn't mean these are a 3, 4 pair, because one of these could be, we don't know where the 5s and the 6s go. One of these arrows is... Right, let's have a think about this then. One of these arrows is 2, 3, 4. We don't know the ordering of the 3 and the 4. So we do know... Ah, that's interesting. We've now found a box. Yeah, it doesn't matter about the ordering of the 3, 4. The 8 arrow that must sit in this box with the 3, 4 now must be 1, 2, and 5. Which means the other 8 arrow, which is the other 8 arrow? It's this one. This has got to be a 1, 3, 4 arrow. Oh, okay, so that would force that. And now this arrow, which is the other 9 arrow, can't be 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 5, so it has to be 1, 2, 6. So we now know the identity of the 4th arrow. We've found the 4th man. And the 4th arrow in this puzzle, or the second 9, is 1, 2, 6, because it cannot be anything else. Now, what does that mean? I have not got a clue. Well, although it does seem to mean that whichever way you arrange this, you get 3s and 4s here, presumably in some order. Because this is all symmetrical. I've started this by trying a 2 here and putting the 3, 4 beneath it, but I could have easily put the 2 here with the 3, 4 beneath it, and all that would happen is that this 1, 2, 5 would be over here. This would have to be a 1, 3, 4 triple, so there would still be a 3, 4 down here, and this would be 1, 2, 6. Oh, I see. So I've always got 1, 2 in the wings here. Is that helpful? That's going to rule 1 and 2 out of that square. Right, let's delete some of this, because we've learnt some things about the puzzle. We have now learnt that one of these boxes has 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 on its arrows. One has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've learnt there's always a 1 and a 2 in these squares. And there's always a 1 and a 2 in these squares. So there is never 1 or 2 in those squares. These now are definitely a 3, 4 sort of 2 by 2 arrangement. We don't know what the orders of the 3s and the 4s are. Now this square now can't be 1 or 2, because there's definitely a 1 and a 2 in this triple. In fact, we can get rid of the 3 and the 4 from there, and the 3 and the 4 from here. So this square has got to be, it can't be 1, 2, it can't be 3, 4. So this is a 5, 6 or a 7 now. Oh, it's not 7. 7's up there. So this is a 5 or a 6. Does that mean that has to be a 7? No, it doesn't. That could still be a 1. Ah! Good Lord. I've had, oh, good grief, I've had 38 minutes of this puzzle. I've not got a digit yet. That has flown by. Sorry. I am trying, I promise. So now I've got 5, 6, 7 triple. Oh, if I've got a 5, 6, 7 triple, those two squares must be a 1, 2 pair. Looks like there's going to be sort of an opportunity to colour 1s and 2s maybe. Oh, yes, I've got a digit. I've got a digit. This square, where does this square go in box 5? And the answer is here, I think, because this square is a 5 or a 6, which means it can't go in any square that we've pencil marked with other things. Now, because of the knight's move constraint, it can't go there or there, so it's only left with this option. So this square and this square are the same, and we should make them red, perhaps, I don't know. But therefore, this square cannot be a 7. And if it can't be a 7, the 7 in this box must go here, the 7 in this box must go here, and now that square can be blue, because it's not red. Yeah, this is getting really interesting, because now where does 5, 6 go in this box? It's got to go there. So that's not, sorry, that's not 1 or 2. It's red. and it's 1 or 2. Sorry, not 1 or 2, 5 or 6. What am I talking about? Which means this square is 1 or 2, because we know that's the last place we can put 1 and 2 in that box. So blue is in one of those 2 squares. Seven is not there anymore because of the knight's move constraint. 7 is here. So this square is a 1 or a 2. Yeah, we're going to have to colour 1s and 2s, aren't we? Although it's a bit difficult to see. They don't. Yeah, we're probably going to have to colour them, but they don't seem to see each other at the moment. This one doesn't. Oh, do I know what that is? Oh, right. I do know where blue goes in this box. Look, because blue is in one of those 2 positions. Well, if blue's here, where do you put blue in box 6? It would have to go there, and they would be a knight's move apart. I can't make both of those squares blue, and I would have to by Sudoku if this square is blue. So that square is blue, which means it's 5 or 6. This square must be a 1 or a 2. Oh, so I've got a deadly 1-2 pattern, which will presumably be resolved by the knight's moves. I've got blue in one of those 2 squares, which I'll probably pencil mark. I've got... get rid of my corner pencil mark in this one. So I have made progress. I really have. I just haven't... finished the puzzle yet. Okay, so what do we do next? This square... Yes, if you look along this row, what's missing? It's the second 1 or 2, so it's this square's a 1 or a 2. So now maybe I should colour the 1s and 2s, because I don't know if I can colour those 2, but I think I can colour the rest of them. So let's do that. What should we use? Orange, maybe. So if that's orange, that can't be orange because of the knight's move, so that's orange, that's orange. We'll make that one yellow, that can be yellow, that can be yellow. So there we go, we've coloured them in. It would be very nice if we could colour these in. So now, this box I've not put 3s and 4s in. Oh, yeah, it's these 3s and 4s. Maybe I have to colour those in as well. I don't know. I'm going to run out of colours if I try this, but I suppose we should do it. Let's do that. Those squares are all coloured as well. And that might be what we have to do here, which is an enormous colouring exercise. It's actually incredibly weird, this, isn't it? Because we've really not... I've hardly made any progress at all in the first 3 rows or the bottom 3 rows, and the only thing that seems to exist in any of those squares is this arrow, which we seem to know almost nothing about. Is there some way we can tell something about this arrow? Or is there some way I can... That square's a bit weak. That square sees 1 and 2 here, look. That square is interesting, because whatever this is, it sees that square, and this square will not be this, and it also sees that square. And this square also, I've just noticed, sees the 5s and the 6s of different colours. So that square can't be 1 or 2. It can't be grey. It could be black. It can't be 5 or 6. It can't be 7, 8 or 9. That square is... We know what this square is. Well, we don't know what number it is, but we know it's a black 3 or 4. Which means... Oh, no. Black goes in one of those. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is what we have to do. We have to stare at the puzzle and find cells that are weak because they see lots of other things. See, this square is weak. This square sees 1, 2, 8, 9 just naturally by Sudoku, but it sees 5 and 6 as well, and it sees 3 and 4. Hang on, what doesn't it see? It sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. It's a 7. This square is a naked single 7. Good lord, that is very, very hard to see. Sorry if you've been shouting at me for that one. I don't know how long that's been available. 7 up here, maybe. Don't see how to do that. 7 in box 3 has become a little bit more restricted because this 7 is powerful. It rules out all 3 of those squares. So 7 is in one of 2 places in box 3, which means it's in one of 2 places in box 2. Okay. So let's try and find more of these squares which see odd combinations through the knight's moves, like that square sees both 5 and 6. I can see that. What else does this see? 8 and 9. 1 and 2 again, because of, yes, it's the same logic as this square for the 1 and the 2 here. So this square is interesting. This square sees 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is just the opposite to this one. It's the symmetry. I just didn't notice it. Sorry. It's absolutely identical logic. That square has to be a grey 3 or 4. Right. Okay. So let's try this square, which is the equivalent of that square then. Let's try and use the symmetry. What can this be? It can't be 1 or 2. It can't be 3 or 4 because it sees both colours. Oh, it can be a red. It could be that one, red 5 or 6. But that's all it can see because it does see 8, 9. So this square is also restricted. That's red 5 or 6, which means red is in one of those 2 squares. These squares, look, along here now are a bit restricted, are they? They have to be they have to be 3, 4 and blue. Because of Sudoku. Blue can't be that one. So that's a 3 or a 4. Now, do we know its colour? We may do, I'm not sure. 3s, 4s and blue. Blue has to be in one of those 2 squares. Okay. Blue. Good grief. Okay, I don't know what to do. Purple now. Purple can't go in those. Purple is up at the top there in one of 2 places. So has purple been restricted in this box? I think it has been, look. It's one of those 2 squares purple now. Because we know that purple is in these 3, well, it's in one of those 2 and it's in here. So it's definitely in row 2 in box 3 and it's not there. So it's in one of those 2. I'm not sure if there's a way we can disambiguate that. We could if this was purple, for sure, because then we would know that this would have to be purple. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to have to go hunting again. Let us go hunting again. Where on earth do we look next? I mean, it's going to have to be something up here, isn't it? It's going to have to be related somehow, I think, to what's been going on in and around these arrows. Unless it's down here. Oh, hang on, we can colour. Oh no, we can't colour, but we know that square, look. Because that square... Yes, it's similar to this row. This row needs 3s, 4s, and a blue, and it needs 3s, 4s, and blue. Well, blue is over here apparently because of this blue. So this square is a 3 or a 4, and we don't know its colour. Do we know? No. Right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So how do we make more progress here? What on earth do we look for now? This square is restricted. That cannot be 1 and 2. It cannot be 3 and 4 from the row. It cannot be a red 5 or 6. It can't be 7. And it can't be 8 or 9 because this square sees it and that square sees it. So that square is blue. And it's a 5 or a 6. Now that means... Well, I think I've got blues into one of those two squares. I don't know how I did that, but if that's correct... How did I get... Oh, I see. I did that just by our old friend Sudoku, ruling blue out of all of those squares. So blue is in one of these two squares in box 2, which doesn't actually appear to be useful. Blue down here is in one of those two squares. Now... what does that mean? If that was blue, that would be interesting. Because blue then... Blue would... you get... If this was blue, you get a blue-red pair in box 8. If this is blue. Is there a way of showing that this can't be blue? So if this was blue... What would we know then? We would know that blue wouldn't be in those squares. Blue would have to be in one of these two squares, I think. Sorry about this. I'm not being very articulate or actually... I don't think I'm actually getting to the bottom of the puzzle. There is something about blue here, though. I'm just wondering about these two squares. If that's blue, those can't be blue, those can't be blue. That's interesting. Yeah, if that's blue, you can't put blue here, look. You can't put blue here. Let me explain why. Let's imagine blue was 6. So if you tried to go blues into those two squares, where would you put the 6 now? Remember 6 is blue in this box. You can't put it here, here, or here by Sudoku, so it would have to go in that domino where it would rule blue out of box 6. So this square would have to be a 6. So if this is blue, this is blue. And if this is blue, blue is in one of those. So blue is always in one of the... Oh, this is all right. So blue is always in one of those 3 squares, which means that blue is not there, which means this square is blue. That's hard-earned. Of course, it's not going to do anything, is it? Or is it? Maybe it... No. 1's 2. We haven't placed 1 and 2 in this column, so 1 and 2 must appear in those squares in some order, along with a black 3 or 4, I think. Okay. Okay. Oh dear. So, what do we do now, ladies and gentlemen? Can anyone tell me? Let's try this square, just because it's the symmetrical equivalent of this square, and that's proved profitable. I'm gonna try this square, then I'm gonna try this square, then I'm gonna try this square. So this square can't be 1 or 2, can't be 3 or 4, or oh, actually this. Oh, for goodness sake! Right, okay. This square is just a naked single 7, because it is. If you actually look at the square, you can figure it out, but until you stare at the square, you won't figure it out. It sees everything else. It sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the column. It can be 7 and will need to be because it sees this 8, 9 and this 8, 9. So that square is a 7, which means that's not a 7, which means 7 is in one of those two squares, I think, down here. Yes, lovely, absolutely lovely. This can't be 7, because if we make that 7, you can't put a 7 in either of those two squares. That's a 7. That was one of the positions I wanted to put blue in. I can't put blue there now. So now have I got a blue-red pair? What was it that gave a blue here? Was that one? If that's blue... Yes, it is. You can't put blue here because of the shenanigans that go on in box 9. So now, yeah, this doesn't work now. You can't make this square blue. If you make this square blue, the only place for blue in this box is this square, and it can't go there because it will force blue to be in one of those two squares where it will rule blue out altogether of box 6. So this is not blue. And if it's not blue, that square is blue. And that means, I'm not sure what it means. It means something in this column, doesn't it? Because I've now got a 5, 6 pair into the blues and the reds. So, yeah, okay. So it does matter, surely, because. Yeah, because what I'm seeing is that purple now must be over there. It must be in one of those 3 squares, I think. So if purple's over here, purple is not there, and therefore purple is here. And therefore this square is a 1 or a 2, is it? To complete the column. Still haven't managed to colour the 1s and the 2s. This is insane, this puzzle, actually. It's absolutely insane. How on earth do you come up with this? How do you strip it back to its bones? That's what seems to have happened here, is that everything has been, it's so minimalistic. Now let's check this square, though, because this square must be, well, it's not 3 and 4. Because everything in this row has proved very profitable. Unfortunately, I don't think we can rule out a red 5 or a 6, can we? Because I can't see it seeing one of those. So we don't know what this square is. I think it could be whatever 1 or 2 is not in that square. It could be a red 5 or 6. Or it could be, can't be 8 or 9. So this square is 1, 2, 5 or 6, but we don't know which. Apart from we do know if it's 5 or 6, it's red. This square's got to be a little bit... Yeah, this square is an 8 or a 9 now. Because, and the reason for that is that this is a 5 or a 6. hang on, which means this, and this can't be a 5 or a 6 because 5 and 6 have gone in the box already. It can't be 7, so it's got to be 8 or 9. But do we know what colour it is? I don't know. That can't be purple now. Those can't be purple. That can't be purple because of the knight's move. I don't know. Sorry if you've all seen something and I haven't seen it. This square, can this be a 1? Oh, it can be a 2. That's so annoying. Look, if that's a 2, that could be a 6 and that could make 8. This can't be a 1 though. So 1 is definitely in one of those 2 squares, which of course doesn't matter. So, where on earth do we look now? That's the next challenge. Grey, look, has to be in one of those 2 squares, so that's, we might as well notate that. Which means grey is in one of the, oh, I mean, that means that could be grey. Oh, but look, actually, where does black go in this box? Black has to go there, so that could be black as well. We do know that this is a 3 or a 4 though. And therefore we know in this column we've not placed a grey 3 or 4. So we now know that this triple here is a grey, purple, green triple. You don't say that very often. Grey, purple, green, which means those squares are 1, 2 black. I think I'm going mad. 1, 2 and black. I don't even know whether to. So if I do that technically with colours, that means yellow, orange or black. Okay. That one, I know I can't even rule out. Oh, I can rule out yellow from that square actually, because it sees yellow. So it's orange or black. Okay. So what does that mean? I think that's the next challenge. We've got to work out what this means. I haven't got a clue. Maybe I can do more with 7s. Look, I've got some 7s in the grid at least. Do I know anything about 7s in this box? I think they can go in 4 positions, so that doesn't feel like it's very useful. What about, are there other cells a bit like these? These have been so useful. Maybe we can find more things like that. This square, maybe? So this square can't be 3 or 4. This square can't be 5 or 6 because it sees both colours. But it can be 7. Can it be 8 and 9? It can be green, can't it, this square? This square is not actually that powerful after all. This square? No, these ones don't actually seem as good as the ones at the top of the grid. That square can't be 1, 2 or 5, 6. So that's going to be 3, 4, 8 or 9. Okay, this is 3, 4, 8, 9. But if it's 8, 9, it's green. It's not purple. No, we're missing something here. We must be missing something quite important, I think, because this doesn't seem to work, does it? At all. Where is the cleverness that we need to bring to bear here? What else can we do? Can we do more with 8s and 9s somehow. At least we know a lot about those. 8 and 9 up here. Yes. Oh, I can. Oh, thank goodness for that. Right. Where does green go in box 1 now? Green has to be up at the top, one of those two squares. So green is not here, and that seems to mean green is here. And look, that's going to give me purple as well. So this square is an 8 or a 9. That square is an 8 or a 9. Green goes over here. Oh, I think once I got this as green, I could have done that. I don't quite remember. No, I ruled it out of that one. No, I don't know. I don't know whether I could have done that earlier. I don't think I could, actually. Purple is now down there in box. Lovely. Ah, this is useful. Purple is now down here in box 9. It's down there in box 7. So where does purple go in row 7 of the grid? It can't go there, can't go here. This square is now known to be purple. We can rule purple out of those two. We can place 8, 9 there. We can we do anything else? That's the next challenge, isn't it? Oh, we can do something else, because this is an 8 or a 9 by the maths of the arrow. So given this is a purple 8, 9, this must be a green 8, 9. Oh, that's lovely. So that's not green. And therefore that must be a grey 3 or 4. Oh, look at this. This grey 3 or 4 sees that one by knight's move. So that is a black 3 or 4. Which sees that square. So that by knight's move. So that square now is just a 1 or a 2. That's the only options for it. Oh, hang on. We know its colour, don't we? Hang on, I need to check this square. This square looks really interesting all of a sudden. This can be, it can be 1 or 2. It can't be 3 or 4. It sees both colours. It can't be 5, 6. It can't be 7. It can't be 8, 9. This is yellow because it's not orange by knight's move. Don't know what that means. Oh, whoopsie. Don't know what that means yet, but that feels like a big breakthrough. So this square is not yellow now. So this square must be very restricted, isn't it? What can that be? It can never be 1, because we can't make 6 add 1 equal 8 or 9. It can be 2. I think it's 2, 3 or 4, isn't it? So this is 2, 3 or 4. Right. 2, 3 or 4. What does this mean? Yes, I can do more. This is purple, so that is not purple, which means that must be purple, which means this must be purple. So there we go, we've got a bit more done there. This is green, so that's not green. Green is definitely, looking at the, looking at pencil marks, green is in either of those two squares in box 7. So green can't be here, and this must be an 8 or a 9. So now I've nearly got all of the greens pencil marked. So what I'm doing, by the way, is I'm just scanning the grid. I'm trying to see if there are any cells that I know for sure are a particular value. So for example, I'm looking at these two squares and I'm wondering if there are any cells like this one that see both. So I can rule 3 and 4 out from here, whereas at first blush it might not have looked like that was the case. So that can be 1 or 2. It can't be 3, 4. It can't be 5 or 6 because it definitely sees both blues here and it sees the red as well. It can't be 7, 8 or 9. That is a 1 or a 2. Oh, it would be lovely to know what colour this is. I don't know if I know that though. This square must be interesting as well, because this square sees 1 and 2 through these two squares. It sees 3 and 4. Doesn't see 5 or 6, I don't think. So 5 or 6 is possible. 7 is not possible. 8 and 9. This one is 5 or 6, but I don't think I know its colour. Ah! I would know its colour if I knew whether this was blue. But I don't think I know where blue goes. Oh, good grief. How do we do this puzzle? This is, I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary, but it is not easy. Okay, let's think again. What else can we do here? What else can we do? This square can't be orange because orange is in one of those squares. So maybe orange in this box is more restricted than I think. Orange in this box is definitely in... not there. Orange is in one of two places. So orange in this box up here is... orange in this box is in one of 3 positions, I think. I don't think that's terribly surprising though, is it? Orange is in one of those positions. Red we can also say is in one of these 3 positions actually, because if we look at this, where does red go in box 7? Red can't be in those 2 squares or those 2 squares, so red is in one of these 3 positions. Therefore red is in one of those 3 positions. So we've all, if we knew that was green, we would be cooking with gas, wouldn't we? Is there a way we can tell what goes into those squares? Come on, Simon, there must be something we can do here. We can... 2s, 5s, 6s. Come on. We can... I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm certainly not seeing it quickly if there's an easy win. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't really have a good feel for where to look either, which is a bit disconcerting. It's going to be one of these funny squares in the grid that suddenly reveals everything. But until you find that square, you're sort of floundering a little bit. Come on, Simon. What else can we do here? This column, maybe? Problem is, I don't know where the last green goes. I know that there's a black in one of those 2 squares, I suppose. I better pencil mark that just in case it's going to matter. I think it's right on the cusp here now. It feels like almost every pencil mark could be the one that allows you to disambiguate the puzzle. Yellow in this row has to be in one of those 2 squares because of this yellow here. In fact, yellow is a bit... oh, good grief. I've done it. I've done it. Yellow. Where does yellow go in box 3? The answer is I don't know, but I do know it's not in those 4 squares because of the knight's move. It's not 3 or 4, it's not there. Yellow is in this domino. Now, if yellow is in this domino, where does it go in this box? And the answer is I don't know. but it definitely goes in these two squares. Now look at these squares now. These squares, these three squares have to be a yellow, red, orange triple. Therefore, they do not include our friend green. Now, if they don't include our friend green, green can only go there in the box, which means that is an 8 or a 9, which means that is no longer an 8 or a 9. Therefore, that must be, seems to have to be black. I'm not sure if we know its colour, though. Is it grey or black? I think it's grey or black. Don't know. It's definitely not green, though. In fact, yeah, look, by making this green, we've made this grey, and now I've got greys in those two squares. So we've got a grey-black pair at the bottom of the grid. We've got a 1, 2, 5. We know that one of these is yellow. That could still be a 1 or a 2 if it's orange. But we know this square is the only place that green can go. So that gives us the 7 as well. That's a 7 down at the bottom of the grid. This square here has got to be green, and it's an 8 or a 9. So now I've got a lot of things coloured now, but I still don't feel like yellow has to be in one of those two squares. So I've got red, orange, yellow here, and red, orange, yellow here. Now I've got this run of digits is blue, black, grey. Good Lord, I am getting very confused. But I still I've not cracked the puzzle at all, have I? What's that given me? What's it given me to learn all about this stuff at the top of the grid? It's given me this square. It's given me some greys and blacks over here. Black in this box. Yeah, that's a little bit interesting. Look, where does black go in box 9? It's not there. It's not here. It's not here. So we don't know, as usual, but we do know it's in one of two places. Now, look there. Therefore, I've got to put a black into row 8 of the grid. Where do I put it? It can't be in those, it can't be in those, so it must be in one of these three, or it's not grey. Axiomatically, it's not grey. So this square is black, and therefore that square is orange. And that might be important. 1, 2, so we now get a 3, 4 here. Whoopsie. Or maybe not. So we now know this is orange. So we know this is not orange. Are we going to have to do a full colouring of this grid? Now yes. Where does orange go? In this box, it can only go in one position now somehow. So we have actually got, we know this square is orange. And then by Sudoku, we know this square is orange. And then by Sudoku, we know one of those two squares is orange. We know one of these two squares. Oh, no, we don't. Yeah, we do. We know one of those two squares is 7. I don't know that this is black, because this one could be black. How long have I had now? Gosh, 1 hour 20. It's going to be a long one. I was warned, I have to say, so I'm not surprised. Come on, Simon, let's finish this. Now that's blue, that must be red. Yes, that seems to be true, doesn't it? Don't know why I think that's blue. Can't remember. Oh, it's because there's a red up there. I can't remember why, but anyway, that's red. So red is... so we've now got a red-orange pair up here. So these squares, if they're a red-orange pair, they can't be 7. Yes, so the 7 must go there. And therefore that square must be the 1 or the 2, because it can't be where the 7 goes. So now we know that this square is 7. We know that yellow is in, we know yellow is here, exactly. I think we are going to colour this grid entirely. That means this square is now yellow, which means that square is red. Oh, that's lovely, actually. Look what that's going to do. Because if that square is red, it's going to disambiguate these two as well. So we get 5, 6 here, red. That means that one is red. That means this one is blue. That means I need to put blue. Oh, no, maybe I don't know then. One of those 3 is now blue. It's not that one, obviously. So one of these 2 is blue. So the other digit I've not put in here, look, is the grey. So this is mad. This is a grey-blue pair. The grey in this box is in one of those 2 positions. So there we go. Can I improve on this? I've coloured the whole thing. It may be possible. Apart from, you know, some very limited squares. Surely this is unwindable now. There must be an orange or something that pokes in and deals with this. Because if not, how am I going to do the puzzle? This is black, so that's not black. Well, that doesn't help. Okay. So what do we do now? Are the arrows any use now? These arrows are useless. They've been useless since the beginning. Red. Oh, yes. Yes, you can do it. You can do it with this arrow. You can do it with this arrow because what would happen if that was a 6? Well, if that was a 6, what do we know green is? Well, green would have to be 9 because this can only be 3 or 4. So if this is 6, you get a black 3 and a green 9. But if red is 6, that's a 6. And that means those squares add up to 9. And that means that purple is also 9. Purple and green cannot both be 9. So this cannot be 6. Red is 5. Actually, I'm going to have to do that like this. No, it's not the first digit. It's the first digit other than 7 that we've got. And this is lovely. This is absolutely lovely because now purple, we know, has got to be 8. Which means green must be 9. Are we going to get one of our flourishes for the finish now? These add up to 7, so that means that square has become a 2, which means that square is a 1, but we don't know the colours of these. But we know that green is 9, so black we now know is 4. So let's pick off all of those squares. I think those ones are the ones we can do. Those are all 4s. Oh, look. This arrow is going to give us that yellow is a 2. So let's do that slowly as well. All of those squares become 2s, which means all of those squares become 1s. Now 1 is orange, so that's orange all of a sudden. That means that's not orange. In fact, we now know this is yellow. So that's not yellow. Orange now by knight's move has to go into that one. Let's delete all the stuff from there. Put orange 1 in. That square therefore must be red. So we can get rid of orange from it. Which means this square has become red. That square has become orange. That looks good, doesn't it? It does look good. And we know that red is 5, so we can do those. Therefore blues must be 6. That's working. Look, 6 plus 1 plus 2 is 9. 6, 6. That must be, light grey must be 3. put those in. That must be a 2 there. That must be turn yellow. And okay, I've still got some stuff to figure out, but surely we are almost done and dusted on this remarkable puzzle. That's a 3. Oh, no, 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 don't do that. This square is a 3. And so it must be a knight's move, I think, that I'm missing here. Oh yeah, look, that square is grey, so that one could never be grey, and it could never be black, so this square was colourable, I just missed how to do it. That square is blue, and it's therefore a 6, which means that one is not blue. And this 6, look, is going to give us this square as a 6, which is going to give us this square, as you've guessed it, a 6, which means that square must be a grey 3, like that, which means this square, after all this, was a black 4. That's going to be grey, and we can make it 3. That's a 3 now, it's not blue, and therefore this final, oh no, it's not the final square, but we're very nearly there. 3 and 4 go into those squares, therefore let's do the colouring, make sure that we do it properly. There we go, and this square should be the final piece of a remarkably clever jigsaw. That is, I think, the correct solution. I suppose I can't check the arrows. Let's just click check. Yes. I can't click the arrows, but what I can do is add them. I can't check the knight's move, I should say, but I can check the arrows and make sure they add up to the right numbers, which I think they do. So providing there are no colours within knight's move of their own colour, then this is the correct solution. It felt logical to me. It felt incredibly brilliant and incredibly difficult. Thank you so much for sticking with me. An hour-and-a-half video today. We've done a few slightly easier ones, i.e. sub 40-minute videos the last 3 or 4 days. So this one hopefully will make up for that with those of you who really enjoy the long ones. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.